What's up, everybody? This is Jake Moffitt. Welcome to the Devil Tried Limited podcast series.
And the serpent couldn't win a damn battle if he tried. Lord, he tried, but he can't bring me down, not in this life. Yeah, the devil thought he won this war, but he lost this time.
I think the best place to pick up from last episode is moving from Mississippi to Arkansas. To summarize it, my family decided to visit Arkansas to visit some family, which turned into us moving to Arkansas within 3 months. That was insane, crazy for me, having to leave my friends, having to leave the culture I was in, having to leave what, was my life to move to Arkansas and make new friends in 9th grade. So, to point out the differences between Mississippi and Arkansas for those who would think that's a minor difference and a minor change up for me, Mississippi was very diverse. As a kid, one day you might be listening to hip-hop, the next day you might be listening to country, the next day you might be listening to classic rock and blues with your parents, the next day you might be listening to hip-hop again at swim gym, like I had mentioned in the last episode. It really is a toss-up as to what you're interested in, as to what you're being influenced by. Arkansas is pure hunting, fishing, country music, nothing different. At least where I moved to in Arkansas. So, to lead into the first chapter of this episode, for lack of better words, I was an outcast in Arkansas when I moved to my new school in 9th grade. I was an outcast musically, I was an outcast culturally, I was an outcast with how I dressed. To put this most simply, I, on my first day of school in Arkansas in 9th grade, wanted to wear KD's, Kevin Durant shoes, basketball shoes, gym shorts, and a matching t-shirt because that's what we wore in Mississippi on our off time. In Mississippi, I had uniforms that I had to wear at school. In Arkansas, it was wear whatever you want. So my first day, I wanted to wear like basketball attire because I loved basketball. And that didn't go over so well. I remember my mom was like, you shouldn't wear that. And I ended up wearing a hybrid of basketball shoes, Jordans, khaki shorts, a shirt that sort of fit in with the status quo of Arkansas. I still got made fun of. I was an outcast in every way. I was an outcast with what music I listened to, as I mentioned before. And, that was a really big pointer for me, was I was not going to change who I was just because I moved to a new place. I was not going to change who I was just because I was around different people. I was going to be myself no matter what. And that caused me some troubles in finding friends. That caused me some troubles in finding people that I related to. That was the story of my high school career from 9th to 12th grade, was finding people that I related to and the struggle to do that. So, hands down, was different at my school. I would say my first year, the main thing I wanted to do was get into basketball and get into school sports, which I wasn't able to do in Mississippi because it was all tryouts. In Mississippi, you had to try out for the basketball team, and if you didn't make it, so what? You had to deal with that, and that was that. When I got to Alma, Arkansas, you had to tell the coach that you wanted to be on the team, and you were on the team. It didn't matter if you were going to play 0 minutes. It didn't matter if you were going to get no play time in practice. That was the story. You can be on the team. You can get a jersey. You can get the Jordans they give you, from the school sponsorship. You can do everything you want to do with high school basketball just to join the team. Didn't matter if you were good or not. So I did that my freshman year. That was cool. To fast forward, my sophomore year, I did that as well for a period of time, and then I realized, I'm not good at basketball. I need to do something else. So I became a manager for the team, which basically meant I was the water guy or water boy. And I helped do anything with the team that wasn't play basketball. That's what I did for the first part of my 10th grade year. I think there was one point where I got back on the team and I tried to play and I was doing okay. That didn't last very long. And to get back to the music part of this whole story, my 9th grade year, I was 14 years old. This was 2014. I decided that the main thing I wanted in life was a laptop so I could download GarageBand and so I could start downloading type beats to rap on, which, if you don't remember from the first episode, I was really into hip-hop as a kid, but that wasn't what I was doing musically, outwardly to the public. From 9 years old, 10 years old, I was writing rap verses in my Locked Notes app, which was a big deal on the iPod Touch at the time. And I used that to grow my lyrical skill. And that was the birth of hip-hop for Jake 2000 or Jake Moffitt or whatever you know me by. So I was writing verses to Nas songs, J. Cole songs, Jay-Z songs, Drake songs, whatever was happening on the hip-hop airwaves at the time, which to my immediate memory was Childish Gambino freestyles, Odd Future, Jay-Z, which was a weird artist to be picking up on at the time in 2010 or 2011. But hip-hop was a huge influence on me as a child, and that was what I was learning from in my free time. You know, I did Back Pocket as a band and as a serious music thing, but behind the scenes I was writing and I was figuring out how I wanted to form my words and form my sentences musically. So that was super important to me. And that brings us back to 2014, 2015, when we're in Alma, Arkansas, and I'm an outcast, and I'm struggling to find friends, and I'm struggling to find what I want to do. I decided that the best thing for me, crazy, but I decided that the best thing for me was to start making rap music and start making music on GarageBand to type beats and start releasing this music on SoundCloud, which was a big deal at the time in 2015, 2016. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, but it sure was a good idea once I look back at my rap career, which was 6-7 years long, and realize, oh snap, I really made a foundation for myself just by listening to those artists, just by writing at 10 years old, 11 years old. All that seemed silly at the time to me and my buddies, but it really built a foundation for me rapping and making a real story for JX 2000 and everything that meant to my future music journey in 2015. So, long story short, I made a remix to a song that was released in 2016 sometime called Panda. And I know it sounds so silly, but that resonated at my school in high school in sophomore year, and that made waves, more waves than I've ever gotten outside of school, outside of high school. So you can make fun of it, you can say it's funny, you can say, Jake, you made a Panda remix, but that song got thousands of plays compared to everything else that I put out, which got relatively hundreds of plays. So insane time in my life to be getting thousands of plays on a song that was a joke, on a song that was, it wasn't a joke. It was a song that meant a lot to me, but everyone else saw as a joke, which is a telltale for what my music career was for the next 6-7 years to come. And Panda Remix, or Panda in parentheses Trill, was the building blocks of what made me keep making rap music for the whole time that I did it. From Panda, I made 5 or 6 remixes of popular rap songs. I remember I made a remix to A Milli by Lil Wayne. I made a remix to a couple Meek Mill songs. I made a remix to a couple Drake songs. I think Charged Up was one of them that I made a remix to. At the time, rap music was as alive as it could be when you think about beef, when you think about popularity. Rap music was it, and SoundCloud was the place to release music, so that's where I did it. And I remember I released an EP named Just Wait. That was the birth of my suspension as a hip-hop artist. It was like, keep the suspense alive. I didn't really know where I was going to go from there, but I knew that I wanted to make hip-hop music for a long time. I didn't know how long. I didn't know how many albums. I didn't know how many songs. I didn't know how many years. I just knew I wanted to make hip-hop music from that moment on, from Panda on. So I made Just Wait. I met some valuable people in my music journey. I met some high school friends. I met this guy named Chief, or Brennan Seifert, who I will mention a couple times in this whole journey, who actually inspired me to make this podcast, who actually inspired me to keep my rap dreams going at one point, which was not his doing, but it was my personal inspiration that inspired that. That's a weird way to say that. But Just Wait was my first time making a project for hip-hop music. I haven't kept up with the years as well as I would have liked to, I'm sure. But we're in 2015, late 2015, 2016, early 2017 timeline here. And keep in mind, I'm making all of these hip-hop songs on Apple earphones. So the mic that used to come with wired earphones on Apple headphones. At some point, I might have bought a USB condenser microphone, and that was probably a little bit of a level up in the quality of my music. But even then, it was super low quality mixing, super low quality engineering of my music. Well, we get to the point where my school is realizing I'm making music. I'm putting out an EP. I'm putting out singles here and there. And a homecoming bonfire comes up. And I'm like, I have to play at it. I have to play music at it, whether it's playing guitar, which even though I had been more focused on hip-hop music my entire time at Alma, Arkansas, I had also played in church, played guitar in church, rather. I had played guitar at certain talent shows. I had played guitar and sang at multiple venues within this time frame. It's really a blur which talent shows, which churches, which events I had played music at total. But people knew I could sing. So at this bonfire, I knew I had to play in some form or fashion. It was my time to shine. It was my time to play music for my peers and let them know, hey, I'm serious about this. You should support me. So I did both. I played guitar and sang, and I decided to play a 21 Pilots song. I can't remember which one, but it was one of the popular ones at the time in 2016, 2017. I also decided to rap at this homecoming bonfire, and that was a huge performance breakout opening for me as a rapper. And I wanted to let people know that I could rap, and I wanted to let people know that I'm willing to perform it to prove to y'all that I can rap. So I performed a couple guitar songs and I performed a couple rap songs back to back. And that was insane. That was so fun. I have videos of it. I may post them on my Instagram, whatever. But it was a huge time for me and let me know that I was serious about it. It let me know that I was really interested in making music for a long, long, long time. Up to this point, which is technically 9-10 years from then. I did all that. I got a really good response, and I decided to start working on an album. And it was called Just Don't Abbreviate Me. I'll say it slower for people who don't get the title, but it was called Just Don't Abbreviate Me. I didn't want people to abbreviate who I was as an outcast or a musician or a person or a high school student. I didn't want people to narrow me down into one box. I wanted people to know that I could do everything. So, with this project, this is really the bulk of the episode that I want to get into. I started creating this album called Just Don't Abbreviate Me. It had guitar playing on it. It had rapping on it. It had producing on it. It had singing on it. Another huge factor in my music making within 2014 and even 2023 was me producing my own hip-hop music for all my own albums. I wanted to make sure that I was the one making the music and writing the story musically for all of my lyrics that were writing the story for the time being. So it went really well. I created 8 songs that I was really comfortable with. And I played them for all my high school friends. I played them for all my church friends. It was a really Christian hip-hop take on rap music, which I ended up, I don't want to say abandoning, but Christian hip-hop wasn't my focus past this album. To get into those 8 songs, let's start from the first track. It was Just Don't Abbreviate Me, the title track. That was fun. It was just me showing off my producing ability, me showing off my singing ability, me showing off my ability to write. That was the bulk of the project, really. And I wanted to show that through the title track. The second track was My Oh My. It was a really hip-hop centric track. I wanted to show off that I could use auto-tune creatively. I wanted to show off that I could produce trap music creatively. I wanted to show off that I could use Christian influence in that music to spread the word of God to other people in my school, other people in the community. Going on to the third track, Crown, it was really about me claiming the fact that I could rap and telling everyone that I could rap and telling everyone that I was it. Maybe not the most humble approach, but that was the point of the song was, you should give me the crown because I'm the best rapper around. That was a bar. But I really wanted to show that I could produce and rap better than anyone in the Alma, Arkansas or River Valley area. Track 4, USA. I was part of the Teenage Republicans at the time. I wanted to show that I was involved. I wanted to show that I could include introspectiveness into my hip-hop music. And I made a song about what my beliefs were at the time with the country and what was going on. It was around the time of the Donald Trump presidency or the Donald Trump election the first time. Then you get in on track 5, Deify, which was really a Christian religious attack on what I believed as a Christian. I really wanted to show that off to my peers and show them that you could be unashamed of your faith while still having a good time, while still making music that you want to do. It's really important to me. I got Pastor Bakri Dumboya. I got Pastor Bob Shelton, Robert Shelton, the GOAT on there as well. And that was a huge moment for me. Going to track 6, Billionaires, featuring Brandon Fox, who I will mention a few times in this story. Brandon Fox was a older guy who I had met through a DJ connection that I had had through the city of Alma, Fort Smith. And he really taught me a lot about Christian hip hop and using your faith in music. and even just producing and mixing and mastering and the whole musical side of making hip-hop music. Then you go on to track 7, which was Lately, featuring Back Pocket. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this song than other songs for good reason. It's a song that I made when I went back and visited Meridian, Mississippi, and visited my old band, Back Pocket. And we had a whole night to make a song. That's what I told them, is we have a whole night to make, the best song we can make. Doesn't have to be Christian, doesn't have to be this, doesn't have to be that. Let's just make a good song. And we made Lately. And that's one of the most popular songs in my catalog to this day. And it wasn't about any particular girl. It wasn't about any particular person. It was just about having fun, writing a kind of love song ballad, but with pop influence, with live instruments. Super fun to make. That was Lately. Lately was the first single to this album. It was something that resonated with my school. It was something that resonated with, my family, my friends. It was a super special track to me, and that's why it was included on Just Don't Forget About Me, which is a later album, more of a compilation, greatest hits album. And then that leads to track 8, Late Nights. I wanted to leave the album off with a introspective song about where I was at in my life. Late Nights was a song about how I was struggling with sleeping at night, how I was struggling with my depression, how I was struggling with my mental health at the time, which in today's day and age, to be a 17, 18-year-old dealing with mental health issues is not a crazy thing. So I wanted to display that for everyone to see, embarrassingly, but also honestly, because it's okay to be not okay. And that was really what shaped my music journey from 2017, 2018 forward, to Just Shut Up and Trap, to Full Form, to Flash the Mixtape, to everything that I ever created. This was the culmination of my mental health as a hip-hop artist in Arkansas. So we're in 2017, 2018 at this point. To backtrack a little bit, I made singles in between the creation of Just Don't Abbreviate Me and the release of Just Don't Abbreviate Me, which actually was June after my graduation in high school of 2018. I released singles. I released multiple sneak peeks at what was coming in my career. I released Rainin' with Reese, Olivia Battles. I released instrumental albums with my buddies in high school who ended up being the group Cultivar. I released freestyles here and there that were just showing where I was at in my musical journey and in my mental health. I was really just trying to show my peers how I was feeling, how I was thinking, what I was going through at the time, to make other people feel like it's okay to be not okay. It's okay to feel a certain way and not be able to express it through social media, express it through song, express it through art. That was important to me. Another thing that was big for me at the time was real life. It was grades, it was graduating, it was going to college, it was progressing my life forward to be able to make a future for myself. And not just in the sense that if hip-hop doesn't work out, I'll do this, but I wanted to really make a future for myself as an engineer, which was my future occupation, which was my future major. I wanted to make sure people knew that I had a future, I had a plan, and in the midst of all that was this hip-hop music. It was less of hip-hop music as my future, and that's probably why I ended up where I'm at now, where hip-hop is not my occupation. Hip-hop is not how I make my money. Hip-hop is where I get my peace from, and that's the moral to the story for the next 3 or 4 or 5 episodes of this podcast is hip-hop is what brings me joy. Hip-hop music is what brings me peace. So amongst all of this high school drama, getting the good grades, getting the applications to college to go through, getting scholarships, hip-hop is what's keeping me happy at the time. And it did for 6-7 years until I got back into country music. So just don't abbreviate me. After high school graduation, June 15th, 2018, Just Don't Abbreviate Me, the album releases. The 8 songs that I mentioned before and explained before. It was the start of a 7-8 year career in hip-hop music. It's what builds the foundation for everything going forward. It's what builds the foundation for the following 7 to 8 albums/EPs that happen in the future. I look back and I can't thank 2016, 2017, 2018 Jacob Moffitt enough for doing that, even though it was embarrassing, even though I was an outcast, even though I was sacrificing the ability to have friends to make rap music, even though I was sacrificing my dignity at this school, quote unquote, obviously, to make this music. I can't thank that guy enough for deciding to do that, because it built the foundation for me as a person until now, really. So in the next episode, I would like to get into what going to college was like. I would like to get into where I went next with my rap career. When did I get back into country music? When did I get back into playing my guitar? I want to go back to that as a reference point from episode 1. I think you guys are going to be super surprised on what happens in my story from here on out. There's a bunch of times when I thought I was going to retire as a hip-hop artist and not make music at all, and I got drugged back in, and it was for the better. And there are a bunch of times when I thought it was my time to quit because of mental health issues. Everything built everything in my story up until 2025. So thank you guys for listening. I know it's been sort of a long, drawn-out episode of getting through high school and the whole story there, but we're going to get into college and take it slow and take it album by album, song by song, because college really gets deep into my rap career, really gets deep into when I meet my future collaborators in country music, and it's going to be super exciting. Episode 3, episode 4, 5, 6, 7 of this podcast. So thank you guys for listening. Please drop a like, subscribe, comment if you would. Share it with your communities on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and tune in for the next episode. We're going to have a lot of fun. Take it easy.
The devil tried, the devil tried